Welcome to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast, where every week Danny and Maura Vega discuss topics that help families live a healthy and active lifestyle with their little ones, including nutrition and training, peaceful parenting, education, and mindset. To stay up to date, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast and check out the blog at www.fatfueled.family. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram at dannyvega.ms, at fatfueledmom, and at fatfueledkids, and Fat Fueled Family on YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Fat Fueled Family Podcast. I'm your host, Danny. I'm here with my wife, Maura. She's sitting next to me. She's looking really funny right now.
Welcome back. Did we go somewhere?
Well, I mean, they were gone for a week. Unless they were binge listening to our podcast.
There's so many episodes that they could be listening to.
Guys,
if you're a new listener and you actually left for a week, shame on you. You should just go back.
Yeah. You know what?
You are not resourceful.
Don't listen to this one. Just go back. Listen to the rest of them. This
go to
won't be waiting for you.
numero uno.
Yeah. Start with the philosophy. Why are we doing this?
Why are we here?
I love you. You're so cute. So
who do we have today?
Well, we had John Roberts. He was awesome. She's so cute.
Danny's not good at, sure, we're pre-recording this, but does everybody have to know?
Well, I mean, we could talk about how we had the conversation already. It's okay. We had a great conversation.
Yes, guys, we had an amazing conversation with our local farmer, John.
Yeah.
Tell us all about him.
Well, John Roberts is the owner. This is a great intro. John Roberts is the owner and operator of Olivor Heritage Farms. Oliver is a combination of their grandsons' names, Oliver and Ivor. They are also the reason John and his wife, Chrysti, have been making changes to their diet. They want to be healthier for them, and they want Oliver and Ivor to grow up knowing where their food came from and how to raise it naturally. In today's world, how many people can actually feed themselves without buying food? Actually being able to raise enough food to feed your family and have surplus to sell to others is a powerful thing at the most basic level of living. This is one of the main reasons why we wanted to bring John on the podcast and spotlight Olivor Heritage Farms. We get eggs, duck eggs, goose eggs, pork, and a variety of products from John. And we encourage anyone in the Tampa Bay area to check them out. If you don't live in Florida, we still think you should listen to this episode because the main message is this. We should all take more responsibility in knowing where our food comes from and how it is raised and harvested. And we should all support our local ranchers and farmers and small businesses versus the massive food giants who definitely do not have our best interests in mind.
So important.
You're so cute, bro. You're being serious now? That's it? It's so important.
Yeah, because that's enough.
Okay, you're cute. Anyways, guys, enjoy this. It's a great episode. We hope you love it. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to take a quick minute to talk about our sponsor, Keto Brick. As you guys know, I have been around since the very beginning when it was just an idea, when Robert was getting ready for the show that took him pro, and he needed something to help him hit his macros. And I've seen it grow into the company it is today. Just so proud of my friend, and I'm so proud of the company he's built, the people he's been able to help, as he has several people who work for them. And so he's actually helping people make a living doing this now, which is just unbelievable and so inspirational to me. If you don't know what Keto Bricks are, they are shelf-stable fat bombs, for lack of a better term. They are 1,000 calorie bricks, and they have great ingredients. They have ketogenic macros, usually 88 to 90 grams of fat with 30 grams of protein, and then the carbs are anywhere from 9 to 14. Super low carb, super keto friendly, and you can do all types of cool stuff with them. I tell everybody my favorite is Keto Brick cereal. I chop it up into little chunks and serve it with a bowl of cereal with almond milk or goat milk, which is my favorite. They have several flavors. They now have vegan and whey options. So they have the whey protein peanut butter as well as the old school pea protein peanut butter, which either one of them is easily in my top two. Go back and forth between those and the toasted almond coconut. So definitely go to www.ketobrick.com, get yourself some bricks, and use Vega for a chance to win a whole month supply of bricks. What's up, John? How's it going, man?
It's going. How's it going over there?
Oh, it's good, man. It's so awesome to have you on here.
It's good. Just took a nail out of my foot. It's fine.
Yeah, I had a nail inside of half the nail was in my foot, and when I pulled it out, there was like a lot of blood coming out, and
Yeah, so I'm just like right here on this little blood pile, but it's fine.
yeah, there's a big bump on my foot. But we've known John for like maybe 3 or 4 years now, and my first ever interaction with him was so cool because I don't know if you remember this, John, but like, I see this place, and I think Maura might have found it because I wanted to buy a whole lamb or a half lamb, and I didn't understand that the price was just the deposit, and I was like,
I remember that.
so it was like a whole lamb for $150. Let's go. Come on.
And of
So
course, Danny's like, yeah, this is valid.
like, mind you, it was the deposit. If you can find a healthy lamb for $150,
First of all, if it was $150, like, of course you're lining up to eat it. I'm like, why would we eat that? Something's wrong with it.
That.
But I directly got to talk to you, which was like the coolest thing. And now that you reminded me last time, we're gonna put in another order. The end of this week, we're putting in another order because you deliver locally, but we wanted to have you on and talk about everything that you do and why it's so important to like stay in touch with local producers. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we always lead off with a question. What is the most critical problem you are currently trying to solve?
So for me, it's kind of a toss up between a few different types of issues, but one of the main issues is trying to figure out how to get people. So people are very habit oriented, and getting people into the habit of coming out here regularly or ordering regularly. Because see, with us, our supply chain is very steady. We control it. So we have, a very steady supply chain because we have control over it. But the customer base is a very fluid customer base. So it's not very consistent. So we can have weeks that are just huge. And then we have weeks where we're sitting there wondering, wow, who did we piss off because nobody's buying anything this week? But we have animals in the pipeline for processing a steady supply. So if we only sell 10% of what we harvested that week, we have to put that in a freezer and hold on to it. And that just goes into stock, and that's money and inventory sitting there. And then, you don't always sell it the next week sometimes. So it can be very seasonal. There's a couple of different issues. One is the seasonality of meat and what people eat. And it seems like just naturally people's bodies gravitate toward meatier, more red meats, lamb, beef, that type of thing when the weather's cool. When the weather starts to get a little bit hotter, people start to eat more chicken and pork and fish, lighter type of things. And so you never know from year to year what the weather patterns are necessarily going to be and how much of what you should grow and how much of what you should have. When you add that to the fact that people, like, for example, this last year was just a kind of a crazy year. And we had people coming out here and buying product from, that we'd never seen before and probably never see again because they were panicking that they wouldn't be able to get meat at the grocery store. But as soon as the grocery store got meat back again, all those people disappeared. So you don't know how much product or animals that you need to raise and grow to accommodate what sales you're going to have. And that's complicated further by people's inconsistencies. So we're treated a little bit kind of like a novelty, I guess you'd say. Most local farms are. We do have a core customer base that really is hardcore that supports us, and we couldn't survive without them. But probably 90% of our customer base is we're kind of a novelty to them. They like what we have and they think it's really cool, but they're not a regular purchaser. We'll see them once every 6 months or maybe once a year or something like that. And it's, I get it. It's a convenience factor and people have to do what they have to do, and another thing we're facing now is, some people are losing their jobs and stuff like that. So money gets tight. We're one of the first things to go when money gets tight. People, it shouldn't be that way. People don't understand how valuable their food is. I mean, you wouldn't wouldn't stop taking your medications because your budget got tight. But,
Right.
You start eating food that's not good for your body because your budget gets tight, which then causes you to have to take medication
Yeah.
that you can't afford.
Yes.
So
Right.
My gosh.
it's,
The
Yes.
vicious
you know,
cycle.
there's a lot of ways of looking at it. And, you know, I would just tell people there's a supply chain out there and that's available that, you know, if people supported it continuously, most small farmers are scalable and we can scale up to whatever the demand is. Most everybody, I don't know anybody that does what I do that's even near the capacity of what they could do. So if the customer base really came and supported it on a regular basis, I mean, it it's scalable and there's plenty of us out there to take up the demand.
Well, I'll be the first to say that I've been terrible at this, and I'm included. I have to say it. You know, I want everybody to understand. Like, I am putting my money where my mouth is. You know, I am going to. John's going to see me much more often. Um, we did a pretty big buy like those 2-3 weeks ago, and so we've been going through them. We've been crushing everything that we bought. I'm just about. I don't know how many duck eggs I bought. I bought
the
like.
duck eggs are gone. They're like
There's like
2
4 left.
Yeah.
So I'm eating most of those.
No, my kids Desmond eats it. My kids eat it every morning.
Darn it. That's what they've been eating. You haven't been giving me those other eggs, the chicken eggs?
No, I gave them the good stuff.
Okay.
Those are my growing children.
Okay. Well, so this Friday I'm putting in another order, and you're so right, John. It's habits.
It is. It's all habits. It's true.
But like, let me tell you something. Scalability may come with. I mean, am I right in assuming that when things scale and when they're scaled properly and it's now, let's say you're at a higher level, I would assume that prices might drop as well, right? Because the volume has gone up, or not really.
It depends. So in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. So one of the other things we're facing right now, we're kind of in an inflationary environment in what we do. You know, so like the feed that we buy. I don't know if you're familiar with commodities markets that much or not, but the commodities markets, anything that has soy or corn or oats or anything in it, any kind of they're through the roof right now. Our feed costs have gone up about 30 to 40%.
Wow.
Just over the last 2 to 3 months. You know, things like the insurance that we carry on our building and property have like doubled in the last 2 years. Our general liability insurance has basically doubled. Our workman's comp actually went down a little bit on a per unit basis. But all these things have been increasing and we don't have any claims. It's just a cost that's in the system that is coming. So in a way, yeah, things like, okay, say if I buy 1,000 baby chicks, they might be 10 cents a piece less expensive than buying 100 baby chicks. But over the scheme of things, I mean, you take that, you know, it's 3 cents a pound in the final cost of the product. You know, on a 3.5 pound chicken, you know, 10 cents is, you know, 3.5 cents a pound or something like that, you know. So it does, it's in the kind of farming that we do. So what happens now when you talk about scalability now, if you're going where that would come into play would be when you're able to get into automation. So for us, one of the biggest costs is in our harvesting cost. We measure our harvesting cost in dollars per pound, not pennies per pound. So because we're not automated, every chicken is handled by a person like 5 times in our process. In a lot of the big processing plants now, everything is completely automated. I mean, the eviscerating process, everything is completely automated.
Wow.
People don't touch it until some of these plants, the chicken goes in alive and comes out the other end and it's never touched by a human being at all.
Wow.
Some of them are completely automated. So there's a huge difference. So yes, when I say scalability, if we were to go from where we're at to a process like that, there would be a huge cost savings, but then we wouldn't be what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I like seeing when you see it on the package, like mechanically separated chicken, I wouldn't even know if it's a bad thing or not. But when I see that written,
you like almost picture it. You're like,
it's like, yeah, like I will say this. I know that building materials, metals, everything has gone way up.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the commodities, chickens in general are more expensive. If you try to buy a chicken coops are more
Mhm.
expensive. So I see that as good news. I know that in the short term is probably not good, but I see that as probably good news because people are seeing like
What's valuable?
just how fragile, the food system is.
Mhm.
And I will say, like, guys, John is talking about all the people who are like him, these small farms that provide food for local communities. They have systems in place that can get them to serve a lot more people. But how are you going to do that when it's so, like, the flow of business is so unpredictable? No smart person would invest more time or scale up or say, well, maybe I should get some more ducks and maybe I should,
Yeah.
you're not gonna take those risks, which makes sense. And that's why I think we need to definitely do this. And it's like, for me, it's very simple, because so many times we mindlessly say, let me go to Publix. So that's a local supermarket here. And I'm just going to go to Publix. And then we come back home from Publix, which was like 2 minutes down the street. And then we're like, I just spent so much money at Publix, and it's like, so don't even tell me if
Yeah,
it's a
don't.
financial thing,
No,
because
it's not.
it's very expensive there
It's
too.
expensive everywhere.
Yeah.
You might as
So
well.
it has to be like, you have to say no. Like, okay, have that thing in your mind and say, no, let me go online and order from someone like John, or let me go
You know what's
visit
my
John.
thought here really quick?
Yeah.
Because I think that it would be, I think we waste a lot of stuff as well. Like I can't stand it either, but people tend to waste a lot of food. And I think it's a lack of planning, because I know that when we don't plan what we're going to eat, we end up wasting food, because it's like you go to the grocery store with no idea. So now that we're getting to planning, like, I think it's totally doable. If you plan out your week, like, what are the meals that we're going to eat? Or you go to the farm, and from there you say, okay, these are the meals we can make this week with this food, and there's less waste, because you're not buying anything extra. So I think
Well,
it's
there's
doable.
also a lot of ways that we can help people to work within the budget that they're working in. I mean, one of the examples I give people all the time that talk about how expensive things are, and I'm not being critical of anybody, because I know people are struggling, and sometimes they just they're just trying to live, and they're just trying to get by, and so I'm not being critical of anything. But what we want to do is raise the awareness that, even myself, like, there are some things I have to go to the grocery store for. But, if I need produce or something like that, I go to a local produce stand, if at all possible, because my money, when I spend it at that produce stand, goes into a family's pocket.
Yeah.
A local family gets benefit from that money, and it goes back into a local economy. All that money stays here.
Yeah.
Something like 95% of that money stays in our local community. And even though places like Publix or whatever, they might be a local store, a big part of that money leaves our local area. Once it goes, even though you spend it here, it still leaves the local area. But, back to the point is, we take, I can use the perfect example of a pound of ground beef. Okay. People don't realize how small or a little amount of meat you get in a Big Mac or a quarter pounder.
Yep.
Or what's the one at Burger King? I don't even
Whopper.
remember the Whopper thing.
Whopper.
Yeah. So it's like less than 4 ounces of meat. So you buy a pound of grass-fed and finished hamburger meat. And even if you don't buy the grass-finished stuff, if you just buy, there's lots of other local options now that are grain-finished that are they're amazing.
Yeah.
The product that they have, and it's a little bit less expensive. But let's just say you buy one of our packs of ground beef, and if you buy 10 of them, you can get it for $7.99 a pound. If you buy 10 pounds, put them in the freezer, it's $7.99 a pound. You can make 4 burgers for $8, which is $2 a piece, plus your bun and whatever else you want to put on it. I mean, you're into each burger for $3, $3.50
maybe.
And then get some potatoes or whatever else you want to eat with it. Whatever fits into your diet. I mean,
You pay more for that
so
at the
sometimes,
drive-thru.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. Not everybody can afford to do a real expensive diet where you're eating. There's a lot of different ways people can eat in a responsible and ethical way without having to follow any one kind of a diet. So
Yep.
I'm speaking more from the financial side of
Yeah.
things and not necessarily from the dietary side of things. Um, so basically $3-4 a piece, and if you've got a big family to feed and money's, I mean, how cheap a bag of potatoes is at a fruit stand. Get a bag of potatoes, make your own French fries, make your own burger. I mean,
Yeah.
you just fed the whole family for $12,
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah.
and you did it in a sustainable way. And a lot of those same people find themselves going to drive-throughs and fast food more often.
Yeah.
If you look at demographics and you look at studies and things like that, lower income people use fast food at a higher rate
Yeah.
than people who are upper income.
yep.
Yes.
That's just a
That's
fact.
a fact.
So they can afford it. They just are looking at it from the wrong financial perspective.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
And it's those habits too.
And I can tell you that from our community standpoint, like our low carb keto community, they're already used to a lack of convenience. So it's like, it's not like we can go into the Quickie Mart and get anything there. So
Yeah.
like if we want to have a pizza, we're going to have to make the pizza because we're going to have to make our
Yeah.
own dough, like if we want to do anything. So I think just being conscious of all the different areas where we can apply that to, and I think this is the biggest one. Like I want to see, guys, if you want to test our influence, please let's test it on this. Test that we can influence you guys to buy local and to get to know your local farmer and your local rancher. But I want to we're going to get back to this for sure, but there's been so many times that you've given me advice on stuff, and your experience in the food industry has you've got decades of it. So you owned and operated fresh fruit and vegetable processing plants, and you did produce brokerage. So I guess you were like the middleman between the wholesaler or between the producer and the wholesalers, or the producer and the
Yeah.
retailers.
Yeah. Producer and distributor.
Okay. And so can you explain, kind of what all that entails, and just walk us through like your experience with the food industry, because it obviously you're not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a real high it's a high stress and high pressure industry because and a lot of times because we were doing it at a level. Basically what I would do, my family owned a fruit and vegetable processing plant since the 30s.
Wow.
And in 2005 my dad had retired, and we had a pretty large national company that was interested in buying our company out, so we sold it to them, and I worked for them on a contract for about 5 years. And during that time, they kind of ran out of things for me to do. So what we did was I started a couple brokerage companies in my spare time to just, we worked with school systems and different places like that. And we would say, okay, school systems need boxes of oranges. They need a certain size because each kid has to have there's a federal requirement for the serving size. And each kid has to have one orange of that size or one apple of that size. And that can sometimes be a problem to source huge quantities of one size of something.
Yeah.
But what I was able to do was able to source from a lot of different places, cobble those together, and meet the demand that they needed or had, and then work through other government programs that we found to supply. So basically, I would go into a place. I did a lot of consulting after that for people when my contract ran out, and people would hire me to come in and basically take their business that wasn't profitable and turn it back into being a profitable business. And one of the ways that we did that would go in there, and then I would look at what they're doing, and then we would find some type of a government contract or something that would fit into what they were doing, and then we would modify it from there and plug it in, and there would be growth. So my part of the job, I was responsible for finding the business, then teaching the people how to produce the product, sourcing the equipment to make the product, and then lining up the distribution of the product. So basically everything from input to on somebody's plate was what I was responsible for doing. So it's not that I'm some super genius guy or nothing like that. I was born into a business, our family business, that taught me all of those different things in our local area. Now you take me out somewhere and drop me in the middle of Utah, I don't know anybody. It's a whole different story. I got to learn a lot of things. But in this local area, I was connected to a lot of people just because I grew up around them and I knew them. But I was had a good little knack for being able to find something that somebody needed and then find somebody who could fill that need. So I just was, I was basically a facilitator, I guess is the best way to put it. But I did everything from working with the government in food safety programs. I got a lot of food safety certifications, to overseeing recalls when there's contaminated food, or, just a lot of different things all in between. But so it gets really stressful, and we just decided, there was a point my wife and I, we were running 4 companies at one time, and we're just like, we're dying. we're not living. We're just, we're existing, but we're not living. So, and it's about time my grandkids were born, and we just decided, I'm not going to live like this anymore. I don't care if I don't have a dime. I'm not going to live like this. So we sold our house. We liquidated everything. We bought this little house out here. And my intent was just to retire, to not put up with anything anymore. Just, my plan was to raise 50 chickens a week and sell 50 chickens. And that gave me a little something to do, putter around, and some side income. And, I don't know, man. I think you can relate to this because I think we're similar personality types. That's just not sufficient.
Yeah, you're not going to
just
do that.
When you see an opportunity, you just can't stand to let it go. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm dodging my civic duty if I see a responsibility, if I see an opportunity and I don't take it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm dodging my civic responsibility or something.
Yes.
So now here we are, like 6 years later, and this has become a juggernaut. So in a good way, So, but there's so much to do. That's the thing. There's just so much. I see so much out there that needs to be done, and I see so much potential, and it just it drives me crazy. It doesn't seem like we're getting there fast enough, but we're really doing good.
Yeah.
So
I think the key is to take this small group of people, because it's never going to be from the top down. We know that. There's never going to be a message.
It's going to be a ground.
Unless the Google searches get to a point where people are searching for, how do I find a local farmer? How do I find, no one's going to say, hey guys, go local. So the key is for us is to grow this little group that we have and grow it bigger. Sorry, you had a question, so I'll let you.
What? Oh yeah.
That's really all I wanted to say.
Well, either way, what he was saying, it's a great segue into the next question. So I know that the question is, what made you want to go into business for yourself? And you were kind of answering that, you kind of already gave an answer, but also, what have been your biggest, learnings and takeaways from this whole experience of, starting this farm and everything?
That's a good question. Because it seems like I'm learning so much more every day. It's like an ongoing, it's an ongoing thing where we're always fighting with something. We're learning on a daily basis how to deal with predators more effectively when they're trying to steal the animals, or whatever. And then we learn, we're learning different places and different ways to market the product. Like we're getting ready now to launch into we're going to be selling a lot of we're doing testing now to sell pre-marinated chicken, like chicken thighs, chicken breasts, all those kind of things. We've got a few different recipes that we're working that will be, we can do all that stuff without sugar. Like we can make these marinades with honey in them, and like this one of the, just a couple of the ingredients on one of these we're working on, it's got like honey and apple cider vinegar, garlic, sriracha, different things like that. And it's like spicy and garlicky. And, I don't know anybody that can't eat those items.
I know
for the most part, they're all pretty good stuff in a marinade, So, trying to design some things like that to where it's something that's universal. It doesn't matter what kind of a eating plan you're trying to follow. There's nothing in here that nobody can have.
Yeah.
So but it's got to taste awesome too.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we're kind of working on.
I love that. And I can see your experience as a broker has benefited you because, you do keep your ducks, you have your pigs, and you have chickens. The geese, do you have geese now? Because those eggs that you
Yeah.
gave me. Yes. Okay. That means we can get more.
Yeah, we have more goose eggs. We actually have some. So the geese that we have are breeders. We're selling the eggs because they're surplus. We only need so many so we're actually hatching. We'll be hatching our own eggs this year for geese for the holidays toward the end of the year.
Can you imagine a Christmas goose? I've never had that.
Yeah. So now we're fully integrated on our quail. So we have quail eggs. We hatch our own quail from the eggs that our quail lay. Wow. We do the same thing with the geese. We have some chickens that are arriving about the 23rd or 24th of March. We're doing what's called a Brise chicken. If you look that up, it's BRESSE. It's a French bluefoot chicken that they sell in France. If you order one of these chickens for a meal in France, it costs you about $200 for the meal. This chicken is considered the best eating chicken in the world. It's called a French bluefoot or a Brise chicken. We have some. They're hard to get. We got some coming in that we will be using for breeding. We'll be breeding our own Brise chickens here as well. So we're doing our own ducks, and then we got a really good pork program. So we're doing more and more and more that we're fully integrated on, and trying to move away from other things that we have to depend on other people for.
Yeah, even though I do think it's great because I'll pick up some fish for her. So you got your local fish person, you got your alligator that I haven't cooked the alligator yet, but I'm gonna cook it this week for sure. And so you have the experience from both sides, but you did thankfully see that boom in business like most local farmers and ranchers did last year when the supply chains broke. And I think it was right around March, April last year when it was like a week there that everybody was like, $23 for a ribeye? What the heck? It's like not even it's like $30 a pound. And so, you were set up for wholesale. And I remember you telling me when we were, or you were set up for direct to consumer. And I was like, man, I said something like, oh, why aren't more people doing what you're doing? And you said, if they're not capitalizing on this, they're doing something wrong, but, I'm just curious, your wholesale business with the restaurants, how has that come back to baseline, or are you still at a place where it's still down?
It's still, we're doing maybe 50% of what we did before. It's all that, basically a lot of those places that were really, hardcore on local before COVID, it just come down, I guess, to a financial decision. Most of them just decided, it doesn't make sense to me, but I guess to them it does. They don't see the value in putting the money into what we do so much anymore. It's more a cost decision to them, so, about half of them just went back to basic commodity chicken, but I noticed they didn't change the price on their menu.
See, that's what I was going to ask you. Are they still saying farm to table and all that fancy stuff language?
A lot of them are. I mean, a lot of them are still, trying to tell the tale and play the part, but not really support, I mean, we've got 3 or 4 guys that really support us hardcore, and they buy whatever if they use it in their restaurant, we have it available. They buy it from us when we have it. We've got 3 or 4 of those. And to be honest with you, I don't care if we pick up any more of that restaurant business or not, because it's just not good business, really.
Yeah.
We want the guys that are really into what we're doing and that are, really trying to do the right thing. We want all of them we can get, but that's like 2% of the business out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what pieces of advice would you give to, the health-minded consumers who want to make the best decisions for feeding their family, but they're still relying on national supply chains and big box stores. I know you talked a little bit about how to stick to the budget, but any other tips?
Any things that they can be like, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because
Well,
people
what
are
they
in their
need to
habits.
do, yeah, what they need to do is familiarize yourself, find a farmer in your area and call that person or go see that person. I will say, occasionally, sometimes farmers, not all farmers are as easy to communicate with as me. I mean, I'm my background in sales and marketing and stuff like that. You know, I realize that I have to treat this like a business if I want to continue to do what I like to do, which is farm. You can't continue to do what you love to do if you don't treat it like a business and you go bankrupt. you know so you have to be accessible. A lot of farmers though are so busy with the actual work and the nuts and bolts of it that they don't have the communication time or skills to communicate with people. But you got to be a little pushy, a little proactive. you know if you don't get if you don't get them on the phone the first time, leave a message, call them back again the next day or something. But if you get with the local farmer and you talk with them, they can walk you through and guide you through, in conversation, what's best for you and help you. Like, people call me all the time and they say, listen, I'm on a limited budget. What can I do? And I mean, I always have stuff in my freezer that I'm overstocked on somewhere that I can offer somebody a deal on. I mean, we have, I won't go into it, but, you're familiar with the whole thing and with the naked farmer thing and all that happened with us. We still have, I probably have 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of chicken in my freezer from that episode. So I've got 40-pound boxes of chicken breast in here that we've been moving out to different places for about half the cost of what we would normally sell it for. So there's always things like that farmers have that they can help people, and we try to be good part of our community too. I mean, we're not just here to make money off of people and keep our farm going. I mean, when we find people that need help, we like to help them. I mean, we enjoy taking somebody a box of food when we know that they need it. I mean, that's to me, that's like a paycheck. That's part of that's the upside. The feeling that you get from being able to give back to people is far better than anything else you're going to get from, the finance. Because money, how it is, money is here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, I've made tons of money and lost tons of money several times. Money's going to come and go, but people are always here. And what your legacy and who you are is how you treat those around you and what you do for people.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. Just communication, talk to people, get to know them. And it just goes back to everything, the pretty much the theme and everything these days. It's all about relationships and building those relationships. Everybody's freaking out and like, oh my gosh, I gotta buy land and get a farm. Yeah, but no, like, you don't know the first thing you're doing. First of all, you don't know what you're doing. But I think that just a safe place to start is building relationships, community. Find that local farmer, the local rancher, talk to them. People want to help. People want to serve others, and nobody's gonna be like, no, we have nothing for you here. Just talk to them. This is not the place for budgets. If you, and that's the thing, right? Like, go talk to the local farmer, say, hey, look, this is what I've got. What can we do here? What can I figure out for my family? I'm sure that they will give you ideas and help you out, and you never know. Yeah. I love that.
Well, now I know, because the boys have been on a chicken kick lately. So
I know. I was like, can I get some of that chicken?
I'm going to pick up some of that chicken on Friday.
For real. Some of that, because chicken's so expensive.
Yeah. And it's like,
I really don't know. I always think that we're really high priced at it, but people tell me, because I don't go in a grocery store and I don't buy meat. I don't know most of the time what it costs. I mean, I'm more familiar with what it costs a restaurant, because some of those guys would be honest enough to tell me, hey, this is what this is what management's making us do or whatever, and this is what it costs. And I'm always shocked when I see what that stuff costs. I mean, I'm like, wow, that's like that cost per pound. I mean, some of the stuff that these guys are buying, like at Restaurant Depot and some places like that, I'm like, I mean, they're buying like chicken leg quarters and whole chickens for like 49 or 59 cents a pound. And I'm like, I wouldn't eat that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the money, the cost factor. No, I mean, know what I know about the business and how things are raised and what it costs. I mean, I don't even understand how that's possible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Wow.
definitely corners being cut at every step of the whole process. And the other cool thing that, if you start shopping like with these places and they're smart like John, I got something in my email and I was checking it now because I was like, oh, this is a good reminder. I got an email that said, that basically says I got $5 off from the money I've spent the last couple of months. So now I have a reason to go back on Friday. I'm gonna go in person. I'm gonna take the boys and I'll go see you on Friday because I'm gonna use that $5 off. We're gonna buy
It's
a bunch
right
of chicken
there.
off of him. Yeah, and it's not even that far. It's literally like
It's-
15 minutes from us.
Is it even 15 minutes?
Yeah,
That's not-
10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 15
like
And
minutes.
we
Yes.
deliver too, so there's no excuses.
That's the thing. If you
Yeah, if you're
if you
local
get
in
if you
Tampa,
get to a relationship
delivery.
like John and I have, I was like, John, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what it is. I haven't come to see you. He's like, I can deliver to you. You don't have to do anything. You just got to click. It's all on the
Yeah.
website.
I actually might be the one to do that one of these days.
Yeah, go
Like
see.
when we get busy. No,
Well-
like delivery.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
of
yeah,
the things that I like, going is
Yeah.
part of the thing.
yeah. I know, but
Going
it's
is
like,
part
Yeah.
of the fun too.
yeah, but again, like I want to still be able to go and do that because it is fun to do that. But I want to do that and not have it be like this event where we're only going like once every 3 months.
Right.
The only last thing is, like it seems like local farmers, ranchers are insulated from a lot of these, like you said, from these issues with supply chains. Are there any areas where you see, I guess the bottlenecks would be the feed and what are the challenges that you would see like when things if things were to get really squeezed, which I do see this being a big problem in the near future. I see food being a major issue. Like if anything were to happen with like some of these big farms, I mean, it could cause violence in the streets. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious, what are the from your standpoint, what could be the potential threats in the future that would be specific to you? Because you're most of the time you're going to be okay. People are going to say, "Oh, well, I can't get milk," but local
Yeah.
farmer has plenty of that. So
So we're more with what I do. We're more at the mercy of the weather than anything.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like a hurricane here in Florida. Hurricanes. Fortunately, most of the hurricanes really haven't hurt us that bad.
Yeah, not here in Tampa.
Yeah, so and even at our other properties, I mean, the worst thing that happens to us is occasionally we'll have a storm somewhere that'll maybe blow over some chicken tractors, or sometimes a couple of chickens will get killed because of a flooding somewhere or something like that. Those are our biggest challenges. But what a lot of people don't realize, so I mean, regardless of where you stand on your opinions of man-made global warming, whether you believe it or you don't, the fact of the matter is the environment we have to protect
Yes.
to a certain extent. You know what I mean? There's common sense things that we all need to do that will benefit everybody in the long run. I mean, I don't think you got to go spend a bunch of money and buy carbon credits, because all that does is help rich people.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff basically, the more money you have, the more carbon you can waste.
Yeah.
Right.
And, either way you look at it, regardless of your belief system on that, supporting a local regenerative farm makes a positive impact on those things and the environment. We are actually carbon negative because the
Wow.
regenerative farmer practices that we use, all of like the chicken poo and all those things goes back into the ground.
Into it.
The grass, so the carbon is sequestered in the earth, and the stuff that regrows actually burns and takes up all of that plus more out of the atmosphere. So think of it like this: you've got a bare field that has some grass growing on it. We run our chicken tractors through there and let them till up the ground and leave some fertilizer behind. Not only that, but through their digestive system, they also can drop seeds. So
Yep.
they're eating here and now they're dropping over here. So it's a moving process. So it takes about 7 days for the grass to regenerate behind one of these chicken tractors, but it comes back almost double
Amazing.
what it was. So you've burned the carbon that you put into the ground, but now you've got twice the amount of greenery sucking carbon out of the atmosphere. So it's a double plus. So anybody that is sitting there thinking that they're doing all they can for the environment and they're not buying from a local regenerative farm, they're not doing the easiest thing they could possibly do.
Wow.
And I think what we're going to see pretty soon, I don't know how soon it'll be, but I think there's going to be a time coming where actual real local meat is going to be a very valuable commodity,
Yes.
kind of like it's not going to be worth as much as gold, but it's going to be something viewed like a precious metal or gold.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because, with Gates and everybody else pushing the artificial meats like they are,
Wow.
pretty soon you're going to have two classes of people,
Yeah.
people that can afford to eat meat and people that can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And real meat will be a commodity because our bodies were designed to eat it.
Yep.
And people can deny it all they want, and they can, but it goes against nature. And
Yeah.
there's always going to be something in your body, if you're normal, that is pressing you to be an omnivore and to eat meat. It's in our DNA. It's the way we were created.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, so yeah, we have had those same thoughts. Meat is very valuable. And, what you were talking about with the regenerative farming is soil. People don't understand the value of soil and dirt.
Yeah. Soil is a finite resource.
Yeah. There's no nutrients. All we have is dirt, so
Yeah.
people who are starting compost. So that's like a small step you could take too, start your own little compost station and start something small, a little herb garden, a little, you don't have to go full on, but support your local farmer, do what you can, and break away as much as you can from the system, because this stuff is coming, you guys.
Yeah. I don't like, we don't want to be like pushing fear, but we do want to say this.
Yeah.
Be independent.
Be independent.
Don't
smart.
participate obviously in the immorality that's being pushed, because that's the other thing is like the immorality that exists today is so disgusting. And then people are like, oh my gosh, and they're freaking out. And I'm like, guys, this was written. This was all written, number one. Second of all, it's what people want. It's what people are searching for. They're giving people what they want. Look at your Google searches and then ask me why we have the things that are happening. Like it starts with your Google search. I'll say one more thing. I don't know how indicative this is, but I can tell you when I did my 40-mile walk, John, I walked on a lot of grass and a lot of dirt, and it felt like it had a lot of give. So I'm like proud of our local soil. It feels like, based on my experience, like
it felt nice and squishy.
Yeah, it felt nice and squishy. I was like, man, we got some good soil in our area, and that's not easy to do with all the stuff that we got. Like, I'm sure we have lots of limestone and other things, right? We have a good amount of limestone here.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at in Florida. You have different layers. The soil thickness is different. So like up here where I'm at, up here in Dover and this area, we have what they call a hard pan. It's a very high phosphorus, sandy type of a soil. It doesn't hold a lot of nutrients. There's only certain things that will grow in it. You go down south, like into Belglade, and they have what's called a muck. It's a thick, like a peat moss, mucky, muddy type of thing. And a lot of stuff grows in it really well, like corn and beans. But like strawberries don't grow well in it,
Right.
So, but that's but what people don't realize is that layer, like you said, there's limestone under everything. And there's certain layers. There's only so much dirt on top of that limestone. And, due to erosion and other things like that, those layers are disappearing. And what people don't understand, especially people who are leaning heavily vegan and plant-based, now there are some type of people that can do some plant-based stuff that's pretty good, and that is regenerative, so don't misunderstand me. But if you're out there eating Impossible Burgers and you're eating Beyond Meat and all these type of products that are being pushed really heavy, those things are the worst thing in the world for soil depletion and for the environment, because they're taking all the nutrients in the ground through monoculture.
Yep.
Those crops give nothing back to the ground. They only take. And people have to supply the nutrients into the ground to cause that soy to grow, that corn to grow, all those things that they're putting in these plant-based alternatives. Those things don't grow unless you put something in the ground, and that is bad for the environment. And so, you have, I forget what it is, but you can find it on a simple Google search. there's a rate that they measure of soil and nutrient depletion. And it's really, as the world population grows, that speeds up. And the number one source of deforestation in the Amazon in a global forest is for monocropping.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the number one. That's the number one driver of deforestation. It's not construction and home builders and cattle ranching. It's monoculture.
Yeah, because you're just taking everything out and
And
not
it's
giving
too
anything
specialized. There's no variety and diversity where you're allowing all these different
back.
plants
Systems and
systems.
animals. Like you're not giving anything back. You're
Yeah.
just
It's like
pulling.
Exactly.
You're pulling. That's it.
yeah. So well, I guess we'll just end with this, man. This was awesome.
Okay.
Where can people find you online? And where can people find you online? And then please give the extent of the areas you serve. That way, anybody who's listening to this in Florida
Yeah, we have local people.
will know, like if they can buy from you.
Okay. So you can find out information about us at www.olivorheritagefarms.com. We spell Oliver a little funny. It's Olivor, Heritage Farms. Right now, we do home delivery to all of Hillsborough County, almost all of Pinellas County, and a good part of Polk County. You can also find us at the downtown Lakeland Farmers Market every Saturday from 8 to 2. And you can find us at our Dover Farm store at 341 Sydney Washer Road in Dover. And we're open Wednesdays 1 to 5, and then Thursday through Saturday 10 to 5.
Love it.
Awesome.
I'll
I gotta
put
check
this
out that
into
market.
this.
Is that market? How's that market? Is it the Lakeland one? Good amount of
The
things
Lakeland
there.
market's really good.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of vendors there.
The kids
And
like
it's
going to
it's
that
a very
stuff.
busy market.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
taking the kids out to stuff like that. They like it.
And the cool thing there, if there are people that to the budget type of deal, if there are people that are on like the SNAP benefits or whatever, we don't take them here at the store because it's just not cost effective. We can't afford it. But at the Lakeland market, the Department of Agriculture, Florida Department of Ag, has a program. If you go there with your SNAP benefits card, you can use it, and they'll give you, say you want to use $100 off your card. They'll give you $100 in red tokens, and then they'll give you another $100 in green tokens that you can use to buy local produce with.
Wow.
So they're basically doing a dollar for dollar match
Wow.
through the Florida Department of Agriculture. It does two things. It helps people's money go further, but it promotes Florida agriculture. So you can use the red and green tokens to purchase produce, honey, anything non-meat, and then you can use the red tokens to purchase meat.
That is really cool. That's very useful
Yeah.
Awesome.
information.
Yeah, so it's a good way to make your money go double.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I would have never known about that. I'm gonna let anyone know who's in the area.
No, definitely. We're gonna put that we'll put that in the description. John, thank you so much,
Oh,
man.
thank you.
I'll be there with the boys on Friday, probably morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll see you.
See ya.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much.